I'm Florian Puhani. Welcome to my filmmaker's commentary on a bunch of my own short reels. I've selected especially the ones that aren't featuring voiceover narration yet, which I always find kind of a pity, since most of the time it's not exactly trivial stuff I'm presenting. It's just that sometimes I don't have enough time to write a proper script. But explaining weird new exercise variations in under 1 minute without a proper script isn't really an option either. So I thought I would complete what my short reels are lacking in this regular video. Here we go. Okay, the first one is purely humorous. It's called Eccentric-Only Deadlifts. The original shot is from the footage of a video I didn't even make eventually. It was supposed to be about different methods of concentric-only training, but it got too long and too nerdy, even for my own standard. So I've put it on ice for now. The barbell weighed 131 kg. Normally, to drop it safely, you would need a weightlifting platform. But I hope the wilderness around my house didn't mind it much either. I love the yellow flower, by the way. I have no idea what's its name though. Unfortunately, I don't remember how I came up with the whole idea of having the video run in reverse. I just know I immediately fell in love with the grinding sound that was originally the thump of the barbell hitting the ground. It's like I'm building up tension right before the telekinesis is happening. The idea of this particular shot occurred to me while I was carrying the Christmas tree home on my shoulders. I made a self-commitment I wouldn't get sluggish and fat over the holidays. Then I thought, why not give an impression of that as a positive example? Ironically, I looked even more muscular after the holidays because I had intentionally emptied my glycogen stores the days before, and then of course repleted them generously. I really love this Tripel-Set because it virtually hits the whole upper body, chest and back, biceps and triceps, front, side and rear deltoids. And yes, I would have loved to keep the rep speed much slower, but my ego wanted me to show you as many reps as possible in a short reel. And as usual, my ego won. Now what we have here is basically just my then personal best at that respective exercise. I posted it in order to demonstrate that with goblet squats you can lift considerably more weight using a ring bell than a kettlebell or dumbbell. And yes, I realize, instead of boasting about weights I hadn't even lifted yet, I should have mentioned my original ring bell video in the yellow titles. I put the link in the description of the short reel, but it needs an extra click to get there, so I'm afraid not many people have found it. Anyway, to make up for it, I've also put the link in the info card of this video now. Click it if you want to check out the invention of the infamous ring bell. This one is called sling push-ups. Basically, they're just highly proprioceptive decline deficit push-ups. Nobody asked for a longer video about them, which I don't mind since they are nothing too special anyway. Pretty challenging though. No matter which way and how tightly you wrap the round sling around your hands, it will always remain less stable than hard gymnastics rings you can brace your forearms against. Still, over the past couple of weeks I've managed to reduce the shaking considerably, so if you would like to watch a follow up on it, please tell me in a comment below. By the way, this is the first time I employed the cathedral audio effect. I'm not sure why I like it so much. Maybe because it makes the soundscape appear somewhat more epic and less generic. Of all of my short reels, this one about inverted sling rows is probably the one I like the least. I don't like how I look, I don't like the lighting, and I especially hate how in the bottom position of the exercise the camera always cuts off half of my head. The exercise variation itself, however, is actually pretty cool. Unlike with rings, you can just grab the two strands of the round sling at any height, so you don't have to preset anything. Just lay down and choose a grip that allows you full range of motion. The background music is from the chorus of a song called Lenient I wrote a couple of years ago. Almost nobody cared for it on my music channel, so I thought it couldn't hurt to remix and reuse it here in this context. And so far, this one got the third most views of all of my short reels, so apparently my quirky choice of background music at least didn't hurt its popularity. Of all the different applications of the Sling-Bell, the one-arm row is probably the least complicated one. It offers 4 or even 5 advantages depending on which alternatives you compare it to. Adding weight is more convenient than with plate-loaded dumbbells. A variety of plates, a round sling and a carabiner are much cheaper than modern adjustable dumbbells, let alone a whole set of dumbbells or kettlebells. With heavier weights, the Sling-Bell also allows for a greater range of motion. You grab it exactly in its center of gravity, so there are no shearing forces on your wrist. And in case your grip should be failing, the round sling also acts as a gripping aid. Here you see me rest my free arm on a flat bench. I have to admit, I did this mainly for the video, in order to make sure my form didn't get too sloppy. Most of the time I prefer one-arm gorilla rows though. With the incline ring bell press I tried to stir up some controversy, but it didn't really work. Nobody recommended me to use the Smith machine instead of all the shaky stuff I'm doing. But no matter whether you consider the high proprioceptive demand of the ring bell press a pro or a con, it still has some other advantages that are hard to deny. Since you don't have to unrack or clean it, the ring bell is ideal for intensity techniques that involve frequent short rest periods, like myo reps or cluster sets. For the same reason it is also much safer. Even if you drop it from a much lower height, and then it won't bounce or roll. Also, no matter how much weight you use, you will always have the full range of motion at your disposal. And as I said before, simple plates are much cheaper than any other kind of free weights. Okay, this one is pretty straightforward. In a comment on my previous short reel, someone had told me he had only a barbell, weight plates and gymnastics rings, and wanted to train legs without a rack. So I combined those 3 items, but left out the actual rings and just used the straps. And I was surprised how much applause I got for this relatively simple idea. So I will definitely make a longer video on how to safely suspend a barbell on ring straps and all its different applications. Curiously, the hardest part of making this short reel was the performance of the exercise itself. I hadn't done any type of barbell squats in years, so I chose the front variety, because it is closer to my beloved ring bell goblet squats. Still, it felt so much heavier than I had anticipated, and I could barely complete 8 reps with just my body weight on the barbell. Compared to that, the single arm dead hang felt kind of easy and almost boring. My forearms don't even get a decent burn, they just give out at a certain point. Still, the reel got more views than the previous one. Perhaps because it is more relatable? After all, not everyone owns a barbell and a pair of gymnastics rings, but almost anyone can find a place for practicing hanging by one arm. The music, by the way, is from a yet unpublished song of mine. The title translates to "Here Inside My Filter Bubble", and the lyrics are even explicitly about YouTube. But to this day I've only finished the German version, so you won't find it on my bilingual karaoke channel yet. I've always been fond of this particular shot from my very first creative training hacks video, so I shortified it, so to speak. This time I was smart enough to point out the link to my original video in the yellow titles. In case you haven't seen it yet, I've also linked it here in the info card. I've kept the original piece of music but remixed it to better match the sound of my other short reels. The original mix sounds much scarier. It's the accompaniment of a song called "Choose Who Stands for Unity". I wrote it in the fall of 2020. and that was a pretty scary time around the world, I guess. The digital video filter is called Sci-Fi. I primarily use it for retrospectives like that. It's kind of like black and white, but also with a touch of Matrix movie, which I find pretty cool. Now, the inverted pendulum chest press got a lot of views and thumbs ups, but also the worst likes versus dislikes percentage of all the videos and short reels on this channel. Only 89.5%. And I kind of understand. From a mere training perspective, building that kind of pendulum apparatus inside a power rack is worth neither the effort nor the expense. For me, it was just a cool experiment that didn't turn out too badly. Because the setup may be tedious, but the exercise itself is actually pretty convenient and effective. Anyway, I've shown it to Kyle from Kaizen DIY Gym. Really cool channel, by the way. I've linked it in the description below. And he told me, it's super interesting, I've never seen weighted push-ups like that before, good job. And that more than made up for a few thumbs downs from anonymous people. But still, to keep it a healthy mix, I chose an exercise that didn't require a lot of equipment for my next short reel. Maybe I should have chosen something I'm a bit better at though, because even partial Nordic curls like you see here are still a real challenge. And it didn't help that I started filming not before I had already done 3 sets. At least I should have kept a few more reps in reserve for the video shooting. But hey, I keep progressing. Maybe I'll show you a follow-up in a couple of weeks. This is my 3rd short reel featuring the open staircase in our house. Our landlord doesn't realize it's basically a built-in home gym. Otherwise, I'm afraid he might want to raise the rent. And that makes 12 already. Yes, I realize several of my most recent short reels are still left. So maybe I'll feature them in the next 12 pack if you happen to like that format. If so, please write me a comment about it, give the video a thumbs up, share it with anyone who might like it, subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications if you haven't yet. Thank you so much for your inspiring requests and suggestions. Please keep them coming. My name is Florian and I will make an effort so that you don't get bored with your training.